This is Money Moves on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Kicking off hour 2 Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. SiriusXM channel 158, YouTube TV, the VSiN Watch app. I'm Stormy Buonantony. He's Jonathan Von Tobel. Still to come this hour, Zach Cohen, VSiN Senior Editor. He's going to drop by, get some NFL college football plays from him. Arash Markazi of the Sporting Tribune, talk through a big boxing match coming up here in Vegas. Excited for Canelo going head-to-head with Terence Crawford. Yeah. Should be a fun one. I know that I'm not going to get to watch it live, but I am really excited about it.
You can stream it on your phone.
Don't often get excited about boxing matches. This is unique.
Just say it. You never do. Look, boxing.
I watched Tyson. I watched the Tyson.
Were you here for it?
Fight. No, not here.
That was incredible. That was quite the. In terms of
I did
events,
get the spinny wheel on Netflix though. That really upset me.
Oh, okay. In terms of events that I have taken in here at Circa, I think that is number one. How crowded that got, incredible environment. Okay. From a live betting standpoint, tracking that with Samich and Humans and all of us standing in Derek's box and watching the way it was going down. How all the old people got you could feel the air leave the building the second they watched, and they were like, oh, wait, Mike Tyson's old, and maybe he's not going to be able to do this. It was an incredible event. But I will say, to your point, overall, just say it, boxing has failed itself. It has lost its way. It has not been exciting. They have done a terrible job of getting people excited for these fights and everything. So hopefully they're turning a corner, allowing these fights to be shown to a much bigger audience, Netflix or anything like that. And here's an idea. Maybe just one belt and not like 10. I don't know. Just throw that out there.
But, yeah, see if they can get a little bit of the fans back. What I remember most from the Tyson fight was his son interviewing him, not actually putting the microphone into his father's mouth, though. When he was responding, he just kept it on his own, and then Tyson walking away and everyone getting a full glimpse of everything
his
from the backside. Yes. So on that note,
you can say butt cheeks.
Excited for that conversation a little bit later. Canelo is, I believe, minus 175 favorite in that one coming up. We do have a handful of college football games tonight as well, leading into what is a pretty interesting weekend. A handful of games that we are involved in, including one, though, that you do have tonight. So there is Indiana State, Indiana laying 46.5 in a game with a total of 58.5, by the way. Colorado, Houston at home laying 4.5, total 44.5. But you are invested in K-State, where we have seen the Wildcats continue to get bet here, out to 2.5 some places, total 53.5. At Arizona.
Yes, let's do it. So this was actually the first one on Monday. We talked about this, catching 1.5 at K-State. Now we're up here. I've not checked in the last few hours. Dylan Edwards was going to be a 50-50 sort of deal. So we don't know if it's official, whether or not. About 5 hours ago, cleared to face Arizona. So that's going to be a good weapon for K-State to have. But there's a couple of things that we've seen now from K-State that I think are worth mentioning. But Avery Johnson's been fine. I think the thing that worries you is he has put the ball in danger through these few games, 7 turnover-worthy plays. He turnover-worthy play rate of 6.6%. 6 of those 7 turnover-worthy plays came against North Dakota, so maybe that was just a explosion, if you will, in a negative sense, and that he's going to calm some things down. But I think this really comes back to a couple of things. Look, Kansas State has been awful. They haven't covered a spread. They have been downgraded. I thought the 1.5 was a little too much when you look at the power ratings and what we just don't know about Arizona. Yes, they are undefeated. Yes, they have covered both games. But yes, it was against Hawaii coming off of a big win, then going on the road with a one-legged quarterback, and then what was it, Weber State or whoever they played?
Weber State.
Yeah, Weber State. I don't think that that's worth an upgrade. And I will say, my personal thoughts are part of this when it comes to my lack of belief in Brent Brennan as a head coach against like-rated teams. I don't think that he is good enough to get this done. So, yep, K-State plus 1.5, got the best of the number. I guess that's part of the battle. We'll see if that's going to be the case. You should also note K-State, Duran Bradley out for wide receiver, but getting a pretty good piece back along the defensive line of Ryan Davis, who's going to play senior defensive end. So that's going to help them out too. So you get Edwards, you get Davis, get a low number on a team that's being cut down. I think it's a buy low opportunity for the Wildcats here. So let's go.
I had something I was contemplating putting in best bets later that now I don't know if I want to with the Dylan Edwards news, because I do feel like that changes the K-State offense a bit. And for a group that has not been nearly as explosive offensively as I thought they would be, maybe that changes now with Dylan Edwards in the fold. But I was looking at, there's a prop for neither team to score 30 or more points. It was plus 145. Because I thought this could be like a 27-24 type game. I like Kansas State to win. So maybe I should just throw K-State in there instead. I like the Wildcats in the spot. I think you've talked me into it as the week has gone. I felt like Arizona, while sure I like Noah Fafita and he's had some big plays to his wide receivers, you're not scoring the way that you did
Yeah.
in those games against this K-State defense. And I know that the Wildcats D has not been as good as we anticipated them being, but that D-line should still be pretty good, and I think they can cause some problems.
Yeah, I would say the key with K-State's defense is you just got to be better in key categories, right? I mean, you look at it, what do they have down here? Only 3 takeaways, all of them recovered fumbles, so that's pretty random. You got to be able to force some turnovers in that regard. You've allowed 10 of 13 on scoring opportunities in the red zone, 10 of 12 on fourth downs, and third downs haven't been really good for you on either side. Specifically, K-State's offense, to your point about being more explosive, they've only converted 34% of their third downs. That's got to be better. I'm assuming that it will be better here, especially with Edwards back on the field.
And I'll say, too, I think Arizona's offensive line is gettable. They haven't been tested to this point. So there's a lot of layers there. Maybe I end up tweaking that bet and rolling with you on K-State because I do think that is the side. Anything else you like today? I also didn't mention UCLA, New Mexico, but there are a handful of games today. Otherwise, we can move on to Saturday.
I mean, I think it's worth mentioning Colorado and Houston because we're starting to see this get to 5. Some spots are at 5.5. I got to say, I agree. This is a Houston side that I was contemplating using for this week as well. I don't know, man. Color me skeptical with this whole quarterback situation for Colorado. We still don't have official word, right, who the starting quarterback is for Colorado.
Ryan Staub, who was the third stringer going into last week against Delaware, he has been taking the majority of first team reps.
That doesn't mean anything.
In today's media, we don't care about being correct anymore.
So
we just want to be first.
Let's roll with Ryan Staub being the starting quarterback. So we're talking about a dude that's been there for 2 years that has never had a realistic chance at winning this job. And I get it. There's been some other factors in play, especially Deion Sanders never going to bench his son, and he was playing pretty well. Having said that, we're going to get hot and randy for a guy that came in against Delaware in 2 drives and just went 7 of 10, and we're like, this is it. Like, we're turning things around. I just don't really think that's the case. The defense, too, for Colorado, I don't really buy it. I mean, again, we'll kind of draw a line through Delaware. Georgia Tech, if they don't turn the ball over on their first 3 drives, are blowing Colorado out. They gave up 463 total yards, 6.8 yards per rush in that game. I just don't know if that's going to be something that I really trust here. And Houston offensively, we'll see what's going on. 5.5 yards per play, Stephen F. Austin and Rice. But the running attack has been good, nearly 200 yards per game, just about 5 yards per carry. Their defense in terms of coverage has been pretty good. I feel like this quarterback issue, what I know about Houston up to this point, I think I'd rather be on the side of Houston. And I agree with the market at least pushing this up in that direction. You missed out on it, right? Could have laid 4. I think some spots you could have laid 3.5 if it flashed to that direction.
Still 4 at 4.5, at Superbook, at FanDuel. Like, there are a handful of 4.5 still out there, but that is the shortest number available. You can find anywhere from 4.5 to 5.5 in the market.
And then if we want to do it really quickly, just New Mexico, UCLA, we've been sitting at like 15 pretty much this whole week, right? Open 15.5, kind of ping pong back and forth. Some offshore shops are getting to 14.5, so we'll see if we actually get there in its reality. Here's the thing for me. A couple of key stats here for UCLA. First off, can you protect Nico
Iamaleava,
thank you. 79 dropbacks for Nico Iamaleava. 32 of them have been considered pressured. New Mexico can rush the passer. Keyshawn James-Newby's a pretty good pass rusher for them. He's shown out here the first few games. And it's a big reason why UCLA, I mean, look at some of these offensive numbers. 5.3 yards per play, converting just 20% of their third down, 16 points per game. And their defense has been awful. This is just one of those where, again, you talk about a team that has not covered a spread, that has been very bad. Is this like a low point for the market? Do you come in and buy low? Is this a team where you can get right, or is your offensive line going to, again, against a team like this, fail to hold up, put your quarterback under pressure, and have your offense just perform pretty poorly? And I'll say this for New Mexico. They're a well-coached bunch. This is a team that's got some continuity. A good core chunk of these guys played at Idaho together, all came back over here to play for the New Mexico Lobos. There is some continuity here just from a different program. I don't think it would be shocking to watch New Mexico be somewhat plucky inside this number, but it wasn't enough for me to play it.
And you are getting at least a little bit more on that side because UCLA has been getting played up from that 14.5 to 15.5, total 53.5. A lot of really, really good games coming up on Saturday. Georgia, Tennessee, A&M, Notre Dame, Florida, LSU, Miami, South Florida, games that are being talked about a lot. I did want to give an injury update in Georgia, Tennessee as these SEC injury reports are coming out. There were questions about whether or not Georgia might be able to get their 2 starting offensive linemen back who have missed the first couple of games. Ernest Green is probable, and then Gaston questionable.
Okay.
So that is an update. On the Tennessee secondary side, worth noting, it looks like both their starting quarterbacks are still going to be out as they have been the first 2 weeks of the season.
Yeah, I go back to what we talked about. I mean, I didn't really see enough to downgrade Georgia that much. If you're going to get both offensive linemen back and the 2 top corners for Tennessee are missing, I think that's pretty impactful. It seemed pretty low to get that far down. So Georgia was for sure a contest play in that super contest. I feel like you were getting 3.5 too. So that was worth it as well, considering where the market was going.
Georgia has dominated this series too, won 8 straight in the set with Tennessee, all 8 by 14 or more points, covering the spread as well in the last 6 between these two. Texas A&M, Notre Dame. This is a game we're going to talk about here in about a half an hour when Zach Cohen joins us. He actually likes the Aggies money line in this spot.
Okay.
What do you think about that?
I don't really have a read on it, so I can understand it. I'm just going to be curious whether or not CJ Carr is going to actually open this thing up. I think we went over some of the numbers for him when he was actually throwing the ball 10 or more yards downfield against Miami. He did a relatively good job, but I can understand, especially if you're buying in. Marcel Reed's not injured. He's going to play. This defense should be good. But I can understand thinking that a lower scoring game, you think that's what's going to happen. The Texas A&M with a non-hungover quarterback is going to be able to maybe pull it off.
Total in that one, 50.5. That was not one of the most lopsided sides involving top 25 teams coming into this week, but Oregon laying 28 at Northwestern is the top one in that. Coming off of what was just an absolute shellacking of Oklahoma State. Apparently people think they're going to do it again, even on the road. Under Dan Lanning, Oregon is 9-1 against the spread when favored by at least 27.
We should mention, by the way, VSiN.com/subscribe. Check it out. Subscribe for as little as $9.99. It's absolutely great. Full data access, daily best bets, and more. But I want to mention really quick, we haven't done enough on this. We're going to talk more about Clemson. We should note that Haynes King didn't play last week. And it looks like he's going to play, but who knows how healthy he is.
We will save that talk for a little bit later. When we come back, Arash Markazi joins the program, getting into a big fight coming up tomorrow night right here in Vegas.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Before the line moves, the Sharp Plays is already there. They don't just follow the market, they help move it. You're not going to outsmart billion-dollar sports books or full-time sharps on your own, but the Sharp Plays, you don't have to. Powered by advanced AI and plugged into trusted insider sources, the Sharp Plays delivers the edge serious bettors use every day. Free betting reports, real-time alerts, and market-moving insights sent straight to your inbox or X-feed. It's not just some weekend hobby. Since 2011, the Sharp Plays has delivered documented results, public logs, and transparent receipts. SharpPlays.com, trusted by pros, watched by the books. Visit SharpPlays.com and stay ahead of the line.
He's Jonathan Von Tobel. I'm Stormy Buonantony. Back here on Money Moves, VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. We got a big fight coming up tomorrow night from right here in Las Vegas at Allegiant Stadium. Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford, undisputed super middleweight champ on the line. Canelo minus 175 favorite, losing only twice in his 65-fight Hall of Fame career. Crawford, despite being a perfect 41-0, a plus 140 dog. Let's get into it all. Excited to welcome in Arash Markazi, founder and CEO of the Sporting Tribune. Can catch him on ESPN Radio, The Bet Las Vegas, and more. And one of the big stories here, Arash, Crawford moving up not one, but 2 weight classes for this fight. How much of an impact do you think that could have on him tomorrow?
I think it'll be big, and I think that's the reason why, Crawford, obviously, for the first time, is not the favorite. I think there's this feeling that, if you move up 1 weight class, okay, 2, that's a problem going up against Canelo. The issue that I have with this is that, Canelo has not looked good in his last, I'd say, 4 fights. I'm not saying that he's totally past his prime, but he's not the dominant fighter that we saw go up against Triple G. So, as I look at this fight and the reason that you've seen kind of the odds, kind of shift maybe a little bit in Crawford's favor, there's a lot of money coming in on Crawford just because of the way Canelo has looked recently. But again, the majority of people that I've talked to that are taking Canelo, it's because of that weight. Again, forget what they came in at today during the weigh-in, which was closed to the media. Canelo's going to come in significantly bigger than Crawford tomorrow night.
So, Arash, would that still lead? I mean, we have a lot of these markets up, heavily favored to go over 10.5 rounds. The winning method as well. Alvarez by decision, plus 120. Would that weight advantage still lead to this going the distance? Or because he's got that, would be seeing a finish potentially be more probable than we think?
I think it'll go to a decision. I think it will go the distance, mainly because these are two of the smartest fighters, I think, in the game, and certainly two of the top pound for pound in the game. But I don't foresee a scenario where one of them opens themselves up to a knockout. Listen, that would be exciting. I think we would all be thrilled by it. But, I do like a decision in this fight. For whatever reason, I'm just leaning towards Crawford. Again, I have been at the last couple of Canelo fights, have not been impressed. And so, again, there is a weight difference, but I just think that Crawford, this is a big moment for him. I mean, he is one of the best pound-for-pound guys who has not really been in this kind of a limelight, this kind of a moment before. And I think he realizes for his legacy, this is a legacy-defining moment for him. So, again, my official pick, if you want to call it, Crawford by decision.
Well, it's also a big moment for boxing, putting it on a platform like Netflix, having a lot more people like me who I don't think the last 3 boxing matches I've watched have been involving Jake Paul or Canelo. So it's not like I'm watching a ton of these hardcore cards. The card as a whole, Arash, do you think boxing has put their best foot forward here?
100%. I mean, this is what makes this unique is that you get, Fernando Vargas Jr. and Caleb Walsh, which would be a headline on a lot of cards now. That is the co-main event. And they've really done a really good job of trying to put together a card that from, 6 p.m. on, there's going to be good fights. And what Dana White talked about, as a boxing fan himself, I mean, he didn't like a situation where the undercard are fighters you've never heard of, and they'll have one match and then 20 minutes go by. I mean, they really want to make this a fun event. And you touched on it, with this not being pay-per-view, with this being on Netflix. So if you have a Netflix account, and most people in the world do, you can watch this fight. They want this to be a show that when you turn it on, you're not going to be tuning out before the main event. So again, to your point, big moment for boxing.
Dana White's involvement, what the UFC just did with CBS, and what we're going to see starting next year. Is this going to be the future of boxing moving forward, putting it on a platform where we can all watch it, or is this just dependent on how this weekend goes?
No, I mean, this is the future. And again, that is such a big thing because now with UFC pay-per-views, and again, this will be the case up until the end of this year, I mean, close to $80. I mean, no one's really paying for that, and I think that they found out a combination of that high price tag and the number of illegal streamers out there. Let's make this as affordable to as many fans as we can. That being said, of course, Paramount Plus is paying a premium for them to have that ability. But this is the end of pay-per-view, and it had a heck of a run. It lasted a lot longer than I think we all would have liked. But this is it. Big boxing, big UFC, big WWE, big combat sports events will be on Netflix, on ESPN, CBS, streaming. You can watch it for free.
It's awesome. Arash Markazi of the Sporting Tribune joining us here on the Progressive Guest Line. Last couple of minutes, Arash, let's get into some football here, especially with how closely you follow LA sports. The Rams and Titans going head-to-head in Tennessee. We were talking earlier about some of our potential survivor options, and the Rams were one I threw into the mix, but I don't know if I can get there. Can you help give us an argument one way or another when it comes to the Rams this weekend against Tennessee?
Yeah, I like the Rams, but again, I mean, that's why these early season picks with these survivor pools are always tough because, how good are the Rams? I do think the Rams with a healthy Matthew Stafford, and he has looked healthy, and he was healthy a week ago against Houston. Just really like what they've done on offense and defense going on the road to Tennessee, 10 a.m. Kickoff for them in their clocks in terms of being on the Pacific time zone. That's always tough for me, but I do like the Rams. I really am high on them this season. I have them as one of my top 5 teams.
All right, what about the Chargers? Because, I mean, we watched them dismantle the Chiefs out there in Brazil, Arash. I'm sure you're there. You're a jet-setting man. What do we make of this spot against the Raiders? Because I'm holding out, not hope, but for lack of a better term, I will say, I'm holding out hope that this Raiders defense, especially in the secondary, is as bad as I believe it's going to be this season. What do you make of this Monday night matchup?
Yeah, a great matchup for the Chargers. Again, coming home technically and then, going on the road to play the Raiders on Monday night. this Chargers team is really more like the Jim Harbaugh teams that he's wanted to have. Again, they had a great improvement in his first year, but he really believes that this team has the ability to be in the conference championship game, to be a Super Bowl contending team. And it was a really big deal for them to go to Brazil in a game that the league really kind of put on a stage like the Super Bowl and lead that game throughout against the Chiefs. And then the big thing for them, if you follow the Chargers over the years, there's always this moment where they find a way to screw it up. But time and time again in that game, when the Chiefs made a big play, when the Chiefs scored a touchdown, the Chargers responded. So I really believe this is a different Chargers team this year. I like them in this one as well. Again, the big thing for them, getting Keenan Allen back, Justin Herbert just loved that. Losing Mike Williams before the season, having Keenan is going to help him so much. So give me the Chargers in this one.
All right, last 90 seconds. You and I know each other, so I can't let you go without mentioning this. What will come of this witch hunt in the NBA with Steve Ballmer and the Los Angeles Clippers?
JVT, I hate to say this, but I think that there's enough smoke here that Silver has to do something. But you know better than I do. The Clippers don't have a first-round pick until, 2032 or whatever. So, I don't think this will affect this team. I don't think that they veto or nix the Kawhi contract. But I do think that there's enough smoke here and there's enough people within the league upset that he has to do something. But this is wild because I don't think the Clippers are the only one to do it, but this paper trail is not looking that great right now.
The drama.
It's an unfounded witch hunt.
He's not happy about it.
No, it's an unfounded witch hunt. All right,
witch hunt.
Pablo Torre, you know what? Your days are numbered because JVT is going to find out something about the Lakers. All right, I'll tell you that much.
Awesome,
there we go.
Awesome stuff, Arash. We appreciate you. Thank you so much for this.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
I'm sad we ran out of time because I was curious how his time was in Brazil. He posted the...
Was he in there? I was just assuming.
No, he really did go.
Okay. I just assumed.
He actually posted, which you'll appreciate as somebody who likes Los Angeles area sports, a bunch of hats in the Sao Paulo airport that had the Raiders, the Lakers, Dodgers. Sorry, no Angels.
Clippers,
I didn't see
Angels. Clippers. So why would I appreciate
I didn't see those ones.
You just want to
They
dig
might have been hiding behind the bigger teams.
Did this on
Just
purpose.
kidding. I root for you in the Clippers.
Okay.
I do.
It's an unfounded witch hunt.
I'm a Kawhi gal. I do.
There's no evidence.
I actually helped fund the Aspire campaign for the Aspirations Unit. Okay, we've got to step aside. When we come back, VSiN Zone, Zach Cohen is going to join us.
Somebody who's not paid to do nothing. Have
a little more NFL talk and some college football plays, why we are on opposite sides of this game. We'll be right back.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Joe, come prove it. Join the VSiN Average Joe contest from Edge Boost, and it's all about weekly prizes. Each week you make 7 picks, NFL or college, and the highest score that week cashes $500. Plus, get this, if you already have an Edge Boost account, that prize doubles to $1,000. And while you're chasing weekly wins, you'll also be in the mix for big quarterly prizes like airfare and hotel at Circa in Las Vegas. Plus an in-studio spot on a VSiN show. If you like, it's free to play. Enter anytime this season at VSiN.com/Joe. That's VSIN.com/Joe. And from Joe to Zach Cohen, as we welcome you back here to Money Moves on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Zach Cohen, Senior Editor, VSiN.com. You can follow him on X as well at Betting on X. Going to get into some college football, some NFL plays, and I want to start in college because JVT and I were talking about this briefly earlier. One game that we were kind of stuck on and couldn't really make a decision on a side is this Notre Dame Texas A&M game. And up on VSiN.com, you have an article breaking down a handful of your plays. You're pretty bullish on this A&M Aggies team. Why?
I just think it's too many points. I think that Notre Dame looked decent at times against Miami, but I also thought that CJ Carr, had some moments where he looked mistake prone. I do think that this Texas A&M team is a little bit better defensively than we've seen the first 2 weeks of the season, especially in the secondary. So I could see Carr, making a bad pass or two and not being able to get away with it. And I do think Texas A&M's offense is just awesome this year. I think Marcel Reed, I've mentioned it a few times at VSiN.com, is a legitimate Heisman contender. I think he's one of the best running quarterbacks in the country, but he's also passing a lot better in year 2 as a starter. So I think that they're going to have some success offensively in this game. And I do think the Aggies wide receivers are just much better than they were a year ago. And I will add that it is, a bit of a revenge angle. What they did, they did lose at home last year. I think that they're going to want to go in there and give them a game. I do think, like I said, I think 7.5 at a slightly juiced number is really hard to pass up on.
Yeah, last year game day was there, is the whole bit. Total 50.5, by the way, for that game, 6.5 point spread. Let's go to a game that you and my co-host and myself are a little bit opposite in our feelings toward it. USC and Purdue going head to head. It is the Barry Odom, Jaden Mayava head-to-head contest. Okay, why don't you say something, JVT?
No, that's why I had you ask the question. How dare you? So I don't want to ask.
How dare you? But why do you like...
That's the question. How dare you? Go. You give me your reason. How dare you?
I actually do like Odom as a coach. I just don't think it's going to happen right away. I think this team was left in really bad shape from last year to this year. I mean, you look at returning starters, it was 7 players with, returning production from last season. And I do think that USC this year is just awesome. I think that we kind of saw it last year. They were kind of making that transition to being a little bit more physical defensively. This year, I think we're starting to see more of that because I think that the quarterback situation is a lot better than it was when Miller Moss was the quarterback last year. I think that last year, the offensive line was a mess. I think that Moss was a little too flat-footed in the pocket. I think Mayava's a little bit better with his ability to extend plays, and I do think he gives them some of that big play potential that we, kind of have gotten used to from a Lincoln Riley offense. So I just think this team's a little bit too good offensively and defensively. I think if you look at adjusted EPA per play, USC's already number 1 in the country by pretty much a mile. Through 2 weeks, this team has been really tough to stop. They have unbelievable receivers, and they also have a really good group of running backs. So I just think Purdue's going to be outclassed in terms of talent.
Listen, there's no denying that offense has been humming, but JVT, I did want to ask you to kind of follow up on that. What do you think about just the level of the travel that has to come with this? And now that the key number has come off of the 21, did that change your opinion at all?
I would want 21 and a half if it ever pops back up. So from Zach's perspective of playing this, I think that is the way to go if you're talking about where the number is. So I won't fault him too much. Let's talk about another one. You wrote this in a separate article here, but Clemson, Georgia Tech, interesting matchup. We saw this dip pretty far. What do you make of what we've seen here? And as I mentioned in haste a couple of minutes ago going into a break, for our audience, Haynes King did not play last week. He is going to play this week, but it's a little worrisome that a dude that runs that much had to have a week off already.
Yeah, and I think that there's also reports about his arm being a little bit dead. I think the injuries that hits he's taken have kind of diminished his arm strength. So that's definitely a little concerning when you're talking about a Georgia Tech team that really relies a lot on his ability to just make plays. And I just think that this game, I don't know that I was going to play it, but the line has come down so much to the point that, I got a -2.5 on Clemson, a little bit juiced. I just think they're the better football team. I think that they're a lot better than what we've seen through the first 2 weeks of the season. I think that, we look back to last year, the offense got off to a slow start against Georgia. Then they started putting up 60, 70 points against teams. I think we're going to start to see something similar where, they kind of figure out what works on offense. And I think it might happen here against a Georgia Tech team that'll probably be outside the top 50 in EPA per play this year. And I know that they have a lot of potential on offense, but I still believe in the Clemson defense. I just don't think Clemson should be laying this little points in a spot against a team that I don't really believe in much. I think Georgia Tech's win over Colorado also aged really poorly.
Senior editor, VSiN.com, Zach Cohen joining us here on the Progressive Guest Line. I know you also have previews up for Georgia, Tennessee, Florida, LSU, a lot of the big games. But I wanted to ask, is there an off-the-wall play you might have, a game that not as many people are maybe looking at that you're invested in?
Not really. I mean, I did take a parlay with LSU money line and Tennessee on an alternate spread at +10.5 against Georgia. I just think that that's, a really interesting one where you can get close to -115 odds. Tennessee is a team that I think is going to keep it close against Georgia this weekend. So I took an alternate spread. I don't really trust them on the 4. And I think LSU against Florida, I just not really believing in Billy Napier right now. I think that this LSU team is very good. I think Blake Baker is a really good defensive coordinator. I don't really believe in Florida to go in there and do the impossible after last week, what we saw against South Florida.
You don't think that a Connecticut-Delaware over
That's what I was trying to lead you to.
You don't think that's one of those maybe off-the-wall plays?
I wish that I could tell you more about that game. I threw the over in just because of the way the lines are moving. Honestly, I couldn't even tell you about it. I wish I could talk about the X's and O's a little bit more, but no, I just have the over in that game. I probably shouldn't.
I appreciate you, JVT.
Okay.
That's where I was going.
That's what I thought you were setting him up for. It's just, man, swing and a miss on that one.
But no, I like the play, though. Let's shift gears.
No, I completely forgot that I had it.
Yeah.
Blue Hens, baby. We're getting points.
By the way, real quick, Zach Rice is up, as you're mentioning all the time, VSiN.com. The best bets, the individual games, everything in between. So make sure you check it out. Part of all the articles up there at the website.
Let's get into the NFL coming up this weekend for week 2. Obviously already underway last night with what the Packers did on Thursday Night Football. There are a handful of games you have props that you like, one of which coming in this New England Patriots Miami Dolphins game. I didn't have an opinion on the side. Curious where you sit on it and the prop that stood out to you most.
Yeah, I kind of had a lean on the Patriots. I was looking at them in my teasers, like if I can get that up to 7.5 or 8.5, definitely would be interested in taking the Pats there. But I do like Kayshon Boutte to kind of continue what we saw last week. He had 6 catches, 103 yards last week. I think it's now 3 of his last 4 games, all with Drake May, where he's gone over 95 yards. I just don't think it's a fluke. I think Boutte is the number 1 receiver on this team. The targets, the air yards, all of it tells you that. So 40.5 for a number 1 wide receiver in an offense that I think is going to have a lot of success through the air against a really bad Dolphins secondary. That number was way too low to me. And I also threw in a little bit on Boutte to have at least 60 yards at plus 235. Like I said, just a really low number. I mean, I thought I would have considered that itself. If it were 59.5, I would have been looking at Boutte.
All right, it was bad enough when I was reading the college article and I was looking at UNLV.
Sorry, I'm like a 12-year-old. He said he's looking at Boutte.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Can't help it. Okay.
You go against me with the battle of former UNLV stalwarts, but now I see a Denver-Indianapolis play. Last week, Will Hill came on this program and dared to tell me that Miami was going to win that game against a bad team. You dare to have the same audacity?
Well, I actually was higher on the Colts last week, so I think I'm allowed to go against them this week. I just think that we've seen a crazy two-way overreaction to what happened in week 1. And the fact that we're getting a Broncos team that I thought was borderline elite last year was kind of making the jump into that tier, at least towards the second half of the season. This is a Denver team that I think we could expect to be top 3 in the league in defense. I think the offense is much better than what we saw against Tennessee last week. And Indianapolis, I know that Daniel Jones looked great last week. I do think this is a team that can flirt with 9 wins this year, but I just don't see why they're put on a level playing field with the Broncos team that, 2 weeks ago, people were picking to win that division and potentially make some noise in the AFC.
Zach, 1 minute left. Who's the survivor play of the week?
Oh, man, I went with the Cowboys in Survivor. I think that extra rest, is going to help them out a little bit. And I do think the Giants looked miserable in week 1. So I think Dallas looked solid in a loss to Philadelphia. And I really would be surprised if they can't win this one at home.
I like Dallas, too. Dallas and Baltimore are the two that JVT and I are stuck between. And I asked the question because coming up in the next segment, we really have to drill down and answer.
I'm going to read a tweet before Zach goes. Listening to Stormy talk about Survivor reminded me of someone who can never decide where they want to eat, but as soon as you suggest something, it's a no right away.
Yep, that's me. Yeah. That's me, too. I nailed it. 100%. Zach, thank you so much, as always, buddy. We'll talk to you soon. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
See ya.
Yeah, it's the worst at home. I don't know how my husband puts up with me.
We have to make a decision.
I don't know. I feel like you are pretty bullish on the Ravens.
We can go with the Cowboys.
You wouldn't want... No. I'm not playing this game again.
What's happening?
Because we did it last week, and I had kind of the final say on the Cardinals, and you're like, oh, yeah, if that's what you want. No. I'm not doing it.
Yeah, we advanced.
Yeah, we won, but it was not a fun exercise.
It doesn't matter. All that matters is the final result.
All right. We'll talk through it more on the other side of the break. We also have our best bets headed into the weekend. College football, NFL. I want to throw up. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. I won't, though. I won't.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the sports betting network.
All right, we're wrapping it up. Friday edition of Money Moves, VSiN, the sports betting network, live in downtown Las Vegas, Circa Resort and Casino. This book is going to be packed over the weekend. The big fight coming up tomorrow night. Plenty of college football, NFL week 2. It's going to be fun.
Did you know the founder of Panda Express lives here in Las Vegas?
That is such a random fact, but no, I would not have gathered that.
Isn't that crazy?
Where did you see that?
You're going to love it. The Board of Governors meeting is happening for the NBA these last couple of days, and some of the business is obviously like ownership changing, things like that. And she is part of the new ownership group for the Trailblazers. And so that little bit of information comes out. I just didn't know that.
And she lives here.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
She went to Oregon State, so there are ties to the area of the Pacific Northwest.
Are you a big panda person?
I mean, it's fine. I prefer Japanese cuisine over Chinese cuisine, I think, if I were to rank them.
I think it's like the best orange chicken in the game.
I also don't know if that's like real Chinese cuisine, as, probably not.
Probably not, but that orange chicken be fire. And I also get, this is maybe embarrassing.
The synapses firing?
Maybe this is embarrassing about me. I like making like chicken teriyaki bowls at home, but my favorite sauce is the Panda Express Mandarin that you can get from Albertsons.
Mm-hmm. You don't make your own like teriyaki sauce?
You can make your own?
It's a very simple process involving honey, soy sauce, ginger, other things. Yeah,
not a chance.
Oh, come on now.
Not a chance.
You make pasta for yourself every week.
That's it. I'm Italian. I feel like it was in my blood. I don't know how to make anything else.
Regardless of where you're allegedly from, the time is still the time.
You're such a foodie though, and you're a chef. You make a lot of different stuff at home.
Chef is
I
strong.
blew your mind when I said I eat pasta once a week.
That is wild. I don't like pasta that much.
I don't know. It's my comfort food.
No.
Everybody's got their something. That's mine.
But real quick, is it like, do you make like the one big ravioli and like that's all you have?
No.
Or are you talking like...
No. I make batches. Actually, It was kind of cool. Our producer, Brian Ortega, for my birthday, he got me some things to actually make the shaping of the raviolis easier.
There you go.
Which is very exciting.
Ravioli. Give me the formioli.
I make lots of ravioli. Fettuccine, spaghetti, like Giada likes to say. All those things. You ready for our bets? I also like our bets.
I'm ready.
I like more than just pasta, believe it or not.
Again, hopefully it's not a kick to the crotch in college like last week was.
Yeah, last week wasn't good to either one of us. But let's start there then in college as we get to our best bets presented by GBank, the official bank of VSiN. Where do you want to hit first?
Well, like you said, we'll go to college. You're the boss, so let's do that.
I meant game. Which game?
Well, K-State tonight is obviously the one we should note first. That is part of the slate today. K-State plus 1.5 made. That was on Monday when we talked about this initially. So Arkansas State plus 21.5, fading the spot for Iowa State, having played a ton of football here in recent weeks. Utah minus 13.5 in the first half, and then Cal plus 2.5, the game that you will be on the sideline for tomorrow. Wheels up, is that the term? Coming up here in a little bit. But after last week, 6-10, down about 5 units, that was a rough week. And I will again say, does it make it a good bet that 3 of them were on the bad beats for Scott Van Pelt? And what the ultimate result is, you get the CLV, you have it the rest of the way, but you ultimately don't get it. I would say it's still a bad bet. So let's see if we can turn it around.
You deserved better. And I'm still mad about Kansas. And I will be mad about Kansas for a while. I wasn't much better than you. 7-8-1 for me, down 2 units in college football. I'm on Georgia at Tennessee with the 3.5. That has moved out to 4, though, so it seems like people are getting a little bit of that buyback back here on the Bulldogs. But we talked about it earlier. It looks like they should, or at least could be, getting 2 of their starting offensive linemen back who have missed the bulk of those first 2 games. Tennessee down 2 of their key starting corners. I think that there will be a little bit of an advantage for Georgia in the spot, who has been dominant against Tennessee historically. We talked a lot this week about Oregon State plus the points at Texas Tech. I have decided I'm joining you on Kansas State. I'm not getting points like you did. I'm rolling with the money line. I feel like this is a spot, especially with Dylan Edwards coming back, that offense can kick into a gear that it should have already this season. And this is kind of a make or break game for their season. Yeah. So an important game on the road at Arizona. Give me Kansas State. And a similar thought process as you on Utah. I'm going first quarter, though, and I'm curious your opinion on this. Laid 6.5 for the first quarter at Wyoming, minus 115. Utah, going through their first 2 games, scored touchdowns on their first 3 drives at UCLA. Touchdown and pick 6 as well in the first quarter against Cal Poly. Got in the end zone on 2 of their first 3 drives offensively in that game. Their defense is so good. Meanwhile, Wyoming has been so slow starting. I feel like you put those 2 things together and that lends to a Utah play, whether it be, in my case, first quarter, yours first half.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's the general premise I would agree with is they want to get off to this start so they can get guys rested and ready to go for Texas Tech next week. So any sort of fast start, I would agree with the premise there.
And then I paired that, my Utah first quarter money line and Miami first quarter money line as a parlay. Okay. It's still really juicy, minus 175, but I feel like ridiculously confident in both of those teams getting out to fast starts. USF, similar to what I said about Wyoming, really slow starts. Like, it has taken a minute for them to click. Even in that blowout win against Boise State, first quarter was a punt and turnover on downs to open the game, and it wasn't there for them. Meanwhile, Miami is going to have their South Florida has Miami's full attention coming into this game, and I think they're going to try to put the hammer down early in this spot. I really like that. But I know it's minus 175 for two things to have to go right for you, but I really like it.
Yep.
Anything else in college before we get to NFL?
Just noting, because in the contest, too, 5.5 points. So, again, the bets reflected what happened to the college contest. This week, K-State -1, Georgia -3.5, Miami -17.5, Clemson -3, Purdue +20.5, Florida +7.5, and Oregon State +24.
Okay, let's get to the NFL where we've had more success. 6-3 for me so far, +3.25 units here. Went clean sweep, actually, for Money Moves on Thursday Night Football with our props yesterday. Glad we did not bet the lean on the Commanders +3.5, that we didn't pull the trigger on that, but all of the props came through. So 2-0 to start this week with the Parsons half a sack, Deebo Samuel over the 4.5 receptions yesterday. Headed into the weekend, the only plays I have made to this point, Cowboys laying the points against the Giants, and then a pair of teasers. I brought the Bills down in both of them to just win the game against the Jets, and then pairing that with, in one case, the Bucks, bringing that up from 2.5 to 8.5, and the Colts, where it was a 2.5 available, up to 8.5 as well.
All right, similar mindset here. I do have a couple that we added either during the show or added before we sent in graphics. But you mentioned yesterday, should have done more than the half unit play. Dorrance Armstrong eventually got there, got a sack in the game against Green Bay. Edrin Cooper, dude's a tackle machine. He's playing so many snaps. Going back to this theme, we forgot to do them today because we've been pretty busy, but the defensive props early on have been a fun endeavor that we've been tracking here since week 1. For the ones up on the graphic, Colts +2, Bears catching 6 against the Detroit Lions, 2 lower totals and a teaser there with Patriots +8.5, Colts +7.5, and then they added today Jets +6.5 and the 49ers -3 against the New Orleans Saints.
I almost played the Bears too, and I'm still unsure. I flip-flopped on that game from yesterday and today, so I'm not sure how I feel about it yet. You and I will be on the air, though, coming up on Sunday for the countdown to kickoff, where we'll give out more finalized bets going into the Sunday slate and be with you guys throughout that early morning set of games as well. Best bets, as always, presented by GBank, the official bank of VSiN. And remember, everybody, GBank is built with sports bettors in mind. Right now, you can earn $50 in cashback rewards once you're approved and your account is open with the GBank Visa Signature Card. While most credit cards treat sportsbook and gaming transactions as cash advances, even when it's your own money, GBank treats them as regular purchases. So that means no cash advance fees, saves you 3 to 5% on every deposit. Plus, you get 1% cash back on all eligible sportsbook and gaming transactions, 2% cash back on everything else you buy. You can apply now at VSiN.com/GBank. That's VSIN.com/GBank. Last 2 minutes, we got to make a decision. Survivor this weekend.
Cowboys.
We're down to 2. Cowboys and Ravens. Okay, why Cowboys?
I
feel like you're just saying that because I
said that you said that last week. You feel pretty strongly about it. Look, for the Ravens, I personally don't think the thought process should be we got to save them for Christmas. They're at home in a coin flip spot against the Cincinnati Bengals. Or excuse me, I keep doing that. Thanksgiving. With the Eagles.
You'll get it one day.
Yeah, with the Eagles that Black Friday as part of that week, taking on the Bears at home. I think that is probably the side we should be targeting to use. So I don't think that should be part of the process. But I understand the thought process with the Cowboys. And if you feel strongly about that, then I would say, sure.
So I do feel strongly about it, but I don't feel like you share the same sentiment with me about if Russ is bad and they throw in Jackson Dart, what that could do.
Yeah, I'll put it this way. If we because we had a similar back and forth last week with the Cardinals. Last week, if we would have lost, I would have felt fine. If we lose with the Cowboys this week, I won't be as happy.
So then take the Ravens.
All right, I'm just going to say that. Yeah, what I'm saying is I'm fine with either one. I'd prefer Baltimore, but my level of rage would not be the same as the Cardinals.
What's funny about this? How we had the listener tweet in talking about my indecisiveness when it comes to going out to eat, making that good comparison. I actually feel like it's you now.
No, I'm telling you, I would rather have the Ravens.
So then let's do the Ravens then.
Okay, if you're going to back down, if you're going to willingly accept that.
I have other Survivor entries. So maybe what I can do is let's do the Ravens. Let's have you have final say on this one. And then I'll do Cowboys and Ravens, Cowboys for my other Survivor entry that I have with my dad.
My other Survivor stuff, I'm going to shove the Baltimore Ravens. So that's what I'm doing.
So then let's do Baltimore.
All right, Ravens.
Nails. Let's go.
Boom.
Baltimore, baby. Boom. All right, that's a wrap for us.
That's 3 booms.
The 3 booms. Boom, boom, boom.
Who gets
we
the
will
reference?
be back with you again on Sunday, though. That was perfect, by the way, reacting to a Giants game. That checks out pretty well. Countdown to kickoff Sunday morning. Come hang with us. That's a wrap for us.
Yes, she'll be there this time.
I will. Follow the money coming up next with Mitch and Paul getting you set for the weekend. Have a great day.